Welcome to HVAC Success Secrets Revealed, a show where we interview industry leaders and disruptors, revealing the success secrets to create and unleash the ultimate HVAC business. Now your hosts, Thaddeus and Evan.
Hey, welcome back to another HVAC Success Secrets Revealed with Thaddeus and Evan. Although I am without my Batman today, Thaddeus had to go and have a baby. So unfortunately, he is not here with us today. However, we are excited for him and his wife, Ashley. Congratulations to both of you. And I hope he is not watching this on Facebook today, because we worked our asses off the last few months so that he could have this time to be with her and be with their new baby. So congratulations, Thad. We're really happy for you. And thanks for hanging me out to dry and letting me do the show alone.
Don't worry, Evan. I'll take care of you. Uncle Joe will take care of you. We'll make sure we'll make it an easy one for you. I'll do most of the talking, so don't worry about it. And I want to say, first of all, congratulations to Thad and his family. Definitely, it's an honor and a pleasure to have to be here with the with this amazing show. And definitely, I watch it all the time myself, so I'm always in the car, just like turning on, letting it play. So I feel like I'm in a special place of honor here with everybody. And definitely thank you, Evan, for inviting me here. And thanks, everybody, for having an open mind and listening to me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Joe. For those of you that are listening to the podcast afterwards and do not know who Joe Crisara is, he's one of a kind. He is a legend in the industry. Over 44 years he has been in this industry. He started as a sales tech, started in plumbing and then added on HVAC afterwards, as well as a technician, moved into running his own business. And it was through those trials and tribulations and the frustrations of banging your head against the wall as a business owner, where he was able to really hone in and develop the methods that he uses today as a sales trainer. He is America's sales service coach, with over 7,000 technicians trained now on his Pure Motive Serivce. And that is now a trademark name. So I made sure to add on the TM there. Welcome, Joe. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, what a pleasure it is to be here. Thanks so much, everybody. And, my superpower, like you said, Evan, is, finding out how to do everything wrong the first time, and spectacular failures that I can look back on and say, without those, I would just give you the one piece of advice here, everybody, is that no matter how bad things seem like getting, how dark they are, just remember that this will be the best lesson in your life. And you're going to look back at this as like, yeah, that was something that really helped me grow. Even though at the time it seems like you wouldn't wish it on anybody, you look back on it someday and say, that was a moment where I really changed things, because I got disgusted enough, or, angry enough, or just determined enough to make a change to a different way. And that's really what I'm here. I always say, to change your thinking, grow your service. To be able to grow, you have to change. You can't. Change is not something that's easy to do, but it's definitely required if you're going to grow. It makes sense.
100%. Well, and how appropriate is that in terms of, Thaddeus becoming a brand new parent? That's an issue that I see in parenthood right now. Is parents always stepping in and scared to let their child fail, but the lessons are in the failure.
Totally. Yeah.
Sometimes it's great to learn from other people's mistakes, right? It saves a lot of time. It saves a lot of energy. It saves a lot of frustration and money. But sometimes you just got to make your own mistakes and figure it out for yourself.
Sometimes I allow people to make a mistake.
Yeah.
Because if I don't, I'm robbing them of that moment where they have this aha moment, like, oh, this isn't working. I got to, if I try and just tell them to do it this way or whatever, sometimes they don't get it, and they don't get it. It's not galvanized enough, I say. So I think there is a value. And I think, there's a lot of truth in what you're saying about, and I always say, if you're managing a company, or even if you're just a salesperson, you're selling an install, your coworkers, really everybody who's in any business, is really, a lot of us still have our little child inside of us, and we really haven't grown up yet. And I always say that when you say that this is like running a daycare, when you're running a service contracting business, you're very close to the truth. I always say that, definitely everybody's like 5-year-olds in adult bodies. And you have to be able to coach and train your team as if you were watching your neighbor's kid, where you can't yell at them or scream at them, you can't beat them, you can't do any of that stuff, because you'd be arrested if you did this stuff to
Right.
somebody else's kid, right? So it's like managing an HVAC company is like, it's like babysitting your neighbor's kids. You can't yell at them. You gotta say, now, Johnny, you got to pick up your crayons, okay, before you go home. It's got to be that kind of a tone, right? Where you can't indulge in anger or in frustration. Because I would say this, I say, when you get yourself angry or frustrated, then you're probably making the situation too much about yourself, right? Your ego is getting in the way of this. So why are we getting mad? Well, we're getting mad because it's making me look bad or whatever. And if you're worried about how things make you look, you're already kind of going the wrong direction, because life, as I can look back at 44 years, life has a way of making the most self-important people look like total idiots at some point. And I just like, I just I'm not gonna let you drink alone either, okay, today. So
I
because
appreciate that.
this guy's a day drinker by himself over there, but I take my neat though, you know what I'm saying? So, but I want to make sure you don't have to feel like you have to drink alone there, okay, Evan?
I appreciate that a lot, Joe. Although I am getting used to it now. Oh man. Well, and it's funny. I'm trying to remember who it was that posted to your profile. Your ego is not your amigo, which I believe is a Joe quote.
It's
One
not
of
a
the
trademark,
many.
not a trademark. It's just something I say all the time, right? And it always makes people like, yeah, he's got that right. That's definitely the things that get us in trouble are like, even as an HVAC tech, when we assume that something's working, that's the kind of guy who he pulls a disconnect from the 220 disconnect, and he assumes there's no power in the unit because you're like, oh, of course it's wired correctly, and of course you find out very quickly that you pull that disconnect, and that's the one you touch all the wires without checking your meter and checking your assumption.
Yep.
And that's what really communication's about too. Really, it's about testing it to make sure you're not going to get shocked when you make an assumption that people want your services and things like that. You can't assume anything. You have to make sure you're a student of the customer, student of your coworkers, make sure everybody's on the same page around, and to check in with that. It's really one of the biggest things you can learn in life, I feel, is that to not assume any. I have a t-shirt at home from the FBI, and I got it when I was in Washington, D.C. right before the pandemic closed. I was out there with my kid, and it's a t-shirt. I had to get it. I said, I have to own that. And it says, assume nothing. And that's what it said. I'm like, that is a great t-shirt. I should really steal the phrase and make my own t-shirt from it, but I don't want to steal from the FBI. If I'm going to start stealing, the FBI isn't where you start. You know what I'm saying? So.
Nice. I love it. Well, I want to ask you this, because it was something that I heard you speak about in another podcast that you had done years ago. Because I've been listening to you for a little while now. And I feel like there's going to be a great lesson behind this question. But Joe, what is it that you do for a living?
What I do for a living is basically I just teach people how to communicate value, right? I mean, I try that, communicating value it doesn't mean you have to always say something. Sometimes the best way to communicate value is to shut up and just listen, right? That communicates value, because people think, wow, this guy's a good listener. That can be, I can trust somebody who listens to me, right? So, communicating value isn't as obvious as people think it is. The word value, everybody says they know what it is, but when you ask people to explain it, it has a definite slippery slope. Like, they think they know what it is, but I do have. I think it's one of my superpowers. I have learned and able to articulate what does it mean to create value. How can you go to a call or talk to a customer, talk to a prospective employee looking for a job, and how can you communicate value without bragging about yourself and giving them brochures and stuff like that. I mean. It's not going to, brochures. There's never been a brochure in the history of brochures that communicated any value, really. It's really the relationship that people have inside the company with the consumer and with their coworkers that creates value. And, there's some people that on your team that create a very high value, and you wouldn't want to live without them. That means they're valuable, right? There's some other people who are like, I'd be giving myself a $1,200 a week raise if I got rid of that guy. So there's no value there in that one, right? So you gotta say, how can I become indispensable? And that's what I try and do. I try to make sure that my motivation is that for every hour, let's put it this way, HVAC people are the hardest working people in the planet. They go to these trade school with no promise of a job. They finally get one. Then they get put on some install, driving parts around. Then they do help, and they're out working until 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, midnight, 10 below zero, 95 degrees. It's just the worst conditions. And then you spill a big gulp on your lap and things like that from this convenience store and things like that. So it's just like, and then you're like, and it's like, oh, you start again Monday, do it again, right? And for the investment and the effort that you put into this job, everybody, I want you to know that my motivation is to make sure that you get as much return on investment financially for you and your family that you're putting into this job. I feel like for the amount of time we put into this and the amount of effort we put into it, and how many, for every hour we're on the job working, there was probably, like when I was in a band, there's probably 100 hours that I spent just thinking about how to get better or going to school or things like that. So the HVAC guys are uniquely having to relearn the trade every 5 years. It's like a different trade. It's not even the same thing. When I grew up, we just had a fan center relay, and now it's like, my God, look at the control systems that are out there. And it's just, it's exciting actually, but it's like you have to relearn this trade constantly. I just want everybody to get the best return on investment for the time they put in. And then I want the teams to be on the same page so that when the office and the field and the management are all working for the same goal, which is to make value for your customers. And I want the customer of your company too to be to get as much quality and reliability and safety and health and customer service that they can get for the amount of money they're investing in your company. So that's the three motivations. I do it for you, the individual service and sales and office worker and owner, because I want to make sure you get the best from your family and make sure that you get to build a legacy, a financial legacy that where you can support your family. And I want to make sure the team is together. I want to make sure that finally the customer gets what the value they're supposed to get. And I would say the customer should always feel like, man, I should have paid more for that. Actually, I'm not going to tell the guy this, but he could have charged me more, and I would have done it. So that's what you want people to feel like. That's what value looks like. Value is, people saying that, man, they could have charged more, and I would have paid it. Really, after experiencing this, I think that's good for any business, even yours, Evan. Right? You don't want to just have people say, yeah, we barely made any money with your service. We want everybody to be like, damn, Evan, that was the easiest money I ever spent, was because I give you 10 pieces of something, you give me 1,000 back. That's worth it. I think that's what we're all trying to do. And HVAC guys are no different. I want to make sure that they get that value. So that's really what my main job is, to create value for people and make sure they know how to create value for themselves. Make sense?
Makes 100% sense. And you answered that perfectly. We didn't rehearse it. We didn't plan that.
Throw it at me. I said you could throw anything at me. I got the same answer. It should be. Hopefully it was the same answer I did the one time. I'm not sure, but
well, and you didn't actually say that. Like the question wasn't asked in that way, but the reason why I wanted to ask it was because in listening to you speak of your Pure Motive Service, I was reminded of Simon Sinek and the start with why mentality. Right. And that's what I really wanted to get out of that was when I ask you what you do for a living, not once did you mention, I coach people on how to make more sales. I coach people on how to run a better business, because it's not about that. That's what you do. That's not why you do it. Right.
I think everybody needs to know, like, if I don't know why I'm doing this, listen, it's a lot easier ways to make a living than what I do. But I love it. The truth, don't tell anybody. But I would actually do it for free because I love it so much. Thank God if people do pay me, that works out. And then this could be an interesting show. Now that I'm drinking a neat bourbon here with you guys, I might slip and say some things I'm not supposed to say, but that's okay. I want you to get the authentic, real deal. But I do agree. Pure Motive Serivce has transformed our company, because it keeps everybody automatically focused on the reason why we do this every day. And it's not. People always say that not everybody does this for a paycheck. Well, of course, the pay is necessary to be able to support our family and have a place of business and trucks. We need all that stuff, but there has to be a higher purpose. I feel without the higher purpose, that's like the mortar between the bricks that keeps this strong, right? That if I have a higher purpose, like I'm looking after quality and reliability of the system I'm working on, and looking after the safety and health of the occupants of the home, and giving customer service that anticipates people's needs, not just do what they say, do more than what they say. And then at the end of it, I try to make sure it's personalized and customized experience. So everybody feels like they have a relationship with me. Every one of my clients feel like they have a unique relationship. I have over, we just counted 8,419 people that in our system. And every single one of them, I could tell you, if I saw their name, I'd know who they are. I'd know where they live. It's crazy. The memory, like I'm not got the best memory, but it's just the relationship is what cements it all down, right? The reason why is because these are real people who need help. And if they can learn vicariously through my failure and also some of the success that I've created, that's what I live for. That's what I'm here for,
Well, and it's funny. I was actually reminded of that video even before I was listening to one of one of the other podcasts where you're talking about this, and it sparked that memory. I was listening to Simon Sinek on another podcast this weekend while I was working on my house, and he was talking about how I forgot where I was going with this. This is where the whiskey comes in. But how, it was around how kids really struggle today with that idea of having to do it all themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And him blaming social media for that, because you only see the good, you don't see the bad, you don't see the difficulties, you don't see the frustrations, feeling like I have to do it all myself. But there is not a single person in business or any other area of life that has ever succeeded because they did it themselves. They've always had help. They've always had guidance. They've always had
life is a team game, Evan. I completely agree. It's a team game. Even if you're by yourself, there's somebody who allows you to, like my parents gave me unconditional support. My mom and dad, my dad passed away last February and my mom passed away the February before that. And one thing they were like, just like me, I'm flawed in so many ways, so many flaws. But, the one thing that they weren't flawed at is their unconditional support for me. And that gave me a foundation that gives me strength to this day. And I think about that. And I tell my own son, I have, 2 children of my own, and I make sure I tell them all the time that there's nothing you can do to lose my love. And I'm here to make sure that even if you make the wrong choice, I'll be here I still love you no matter what. It's okay. There's some things I can't participate in, like if you do drugs and stuff like that, I can't participate in that anymore. Like I did back in
you're in California now.
But it's like that's the thing that I can't support anymore. But I still love you no matter what. And I think that's true. I think it's on your team, although you're a technician out there in the field in your own truck, there's don't forget there was somebody who thought to make a marketing piece and get the phone to ring, and somebody who answered that phone, somebody who purchased the software and set it all up so we could operate it, somebody who dispatches you, somebody who gets that paycheck ready every week. A lot of it's not just you out in the truck. And I always say that's something you can tell your customers too, guys. This is a big one. I'll just give you a big tip here. This is a tip of the day. Here it is. When somebody says that your service is a lot of money, like, gosh, I can't believe you guys charge this much money. Just tell people that the money is an investment in your family, John. Remember, everything we do in your home, and the air conditioning and the air handler and the outdoor unit, that stays in your home. It doesn't come with us. That's something that you get, so don't forget that it's not coming with. The only thing that's coming with us is the financial resource to be able to supply all that stuff. And so if somebody tries to make you feel like you're exposed because you charge more money, just tell people it is a high investment, but I believe it's a good investment because it's an investment in your family's comfort and the reliability of the system, so you don't get to worry. It's in the safety and health, so use home as a safe place for your family, and also an investment in the service. So you just relax and do your job, and I'll do my job, and that's what you're investing in. I don't think a lot of people know how to articulate that very well. I think that's one of the things that I can bring to the table, which is, how do you say all that like in a sentence, right? and then make it sound like it just flows out of your mouth like butter, right? It's like, it's got to sound like something you own and take ownership of. And I always say, if I had to lock somebody in a room, I would lock them in a room and say, learn the pure motives and be able to explain what people get. For that money they're paying, what do they get for that? They get the reason why, which is, the safety, health, quality, reliability, and customer service. Customized relevant solutions. And I always say, here's the toughest one: honesty, even when it's not popular. is the toughest pure motive of all. And I definitely that's where the rubber hits the road. If you're not honest with people, even when it's not popular. If you got into this business that might have a popularity contest, you got into the wrong business. I'll tell you that right now. It's not one where you're always going to be popular. Nobody ever calls you because they want to just come over and jaw jack and grab ass today. They want you to come over and get the air conditioning and fixed, and they're hot or they're cold and they're irritated, right? So know that going in that's going to happen. Make sense?
If anyone listening to this did not just write that down, please rewind it, re-listen to it 27 times, and write it down. That was gold. I loved it. Which I do want to get into a little bit more about how you communicate with customers and how you present that value. But I also don't want to skip over this part, which was actually a question that I had asked you when we first met through Facebook Messenger. And you said that you are involved in teaching people the science of communication. And I challenged that idea. Said, well, I thought communication was more of an art than a science. You said it is. However, if you don't have the science before the art, it doesn't work. And so I wanted to ask you a little bit more about your theories around the science of communication and why it is an exact science.
Well, it's like like an artist would paint on a canvas, and there's a science behind that. If you mix, I think we all know that logically, if we mix yellow and blue, it would turn to green, right? It would different things. It's not magic. It's a science behind how colors work when you mix them together. So an artist uses the science of colors and painting. You can see how if you go into your software program, there's probably a palette of colors that you can hit a color circle, and it will tell you the exact number. Where's a number and the letters that reference the exact color that is, right? So there is a science to everything that is an art. There is no such thing as art without science. And so just like, when you're speaking to people, there's a way to communicate higher value. For instance, there was a study that was done using the word because, where that's a magic word. You want to say, if I say there's one word, I would say I teach you how to create more value. It's saying use the word because. So when you tell somebody, right now you have a fracture in the refrigeration system, and that's a major problem because refrigerant not only cools your house down, it's the media that pulls heat out of your house and shifts it outside, but it also cools the compressor, which is going to make you spend $10,000 that you don't want to spend. So that's the word because makes it more valuable as to why refrigerant being leaked is not good. And then, so what I went ahead and did is I created some options, some premium mid-range economy options, because I want to make sure that you have a choice, and we bring you the whole marketplace so you can choose the premium, mid-range, or economy way to do it. And I did that because I want you guys to have the choice of which way you want to do it yourself. If you want me to be more accountable, then we can choose the premium option. I take all the accountability. And if you want to be more accountable and keep doing the job over and over again, we got the economy option where you can just fix it temporarily and do it that way. I want you to have that choice. I don't want to make that choice for you. And so there's a science behind that, right? The word because, it tells you the benefit. The word because is the instant benefit generator. Like if you were here, you do marketing, right, Evan, for your living? I'd say, well, I can't think of what to say in this piece or whatever. Just use the word because. Like, I want you to get a maintenance call done because, and then give me the bullet points as to why we need to get it done. What's the reason why we need that done? If we didn't, so that's what marketing is all about. It's really about answering that because. So why do we have to get that done? And then say because, and then fill in the blanks. You're probably going to have a pretty decent ad. At least you have something that has a benefit, not something that's a feature or just words that are thrown up there that copies somebody else's ad. That's not going to be very productive, because everybody has their own unique position in the market. And even if you're two heating and cooling companies, we're not paying for heating and cooling. Understand that, guys. We're paying for the service. And that's something that everybody's different the way they do that. Even if you have companies that are designed the same, mark my words, there'll be one person who leads that company different than the other person. One place could have the same exact operating system and all the employees love it. And the other place could have the same exact operating system and all the employees hate it. And the reason is the leader is the one who kind of sets the tone about the culture as to having the reason why we're doing it. If it's a greedy motive, everybody hates it. if it's a pure motive where everybody's doing this for our team and everybody's doing it for our clients, and we happen to make money with that too, I think everybody can look in the mirror and say, I love doing that for a living. Make sense, guys? I mean, there's a financial component, but the financial component, ironically, trying to make money is the exact opposite of the way you make money. Because if you focus on, it's like this: if I have to get a call with your marketing, Evan, probably not going to get any calls. But if I say, you know what, I'm just going to do this and put my image out there and speak to my customer as if I was talking to them personally in my advertising and tell them why I think that we would like to help them and their family, then the customer is going to resonate with that. And they're going to be like, you know what, that's the kind of person I want to do business with right there, the way they're talking in the ad. And the same thing is when you're set in this, in a sales presentation, it's like an advertisement, because you're promising, in advertising, you're promising what we're going to do for the work. And when you do the sales presentation, you're promising what we're going to do for the work even more specifically. And then getting the work done the way we promised it is really that's what makes people love companies, when both the client and coworkers love when we do what we say we're going to do, not I call passive lying, where we say we're doing something we're not doing, kind of a thing, right? So that's an important factor. Yeah,
it absolutely is. Well, and that reminds me of I've been doing direct sales. I did HVAC sales, and one of my favorite lines after "because" was, "and what this means to you is," right? Yeah. And then it's making that connection back to them personally. And I know that's something that you teach so beautifully, is how to convey the meaning behind what this replacement is, and connecting it back to the family and what is important to them. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that in terms of the why this purchase makes a lot of sense.
Well, that's a good point there.
To protect the family.
One thing I always tell people when they come to me doing HVAC sales, they're like, man, I go out to this house and everybody wants me to email the bid and all that kind of stuff. And they don't want to talk to me very much. Like, they're kind of a bother, right? And I'm like, well, that's something that's in your mind. It might not. You might be assuming that based on the initial interaction. Everybody's awkward when we first meet each other, except for you and I, Evan. We wasn't awkward at all. I feel like you're like a brother from another mother, just seeing you before, right? So, but when we first meet people, it's a little awkward, and give people a chance, right? And I would say that when I go to a sales call, one of the best things I could say is, so what's the reason why we're actually considering, so if the air conditioning unit and the heating system is working right now, which most of the time it is, I would say, what's the reason why we're doing it? Here's a more important why. Why don't we just keep the old system in place? Like, who would even care if we kept it in place? Is there somebody who is bothered by the current system? Because I always tell people, because if the current system's not bothering anybody, my advice would be to keep the old system. And that's something a salesperson would never say, except for me. Because that emerges like, now that's the kind of guy I want to do business. Somebody who's not trying to sell me an air conditioning. The guy I want to buy an air conditioning unit from is the guy who's not trying to sell one. Mm-hmm. Isn't that crazy? It's somebody who lets me buy one without selling it to me. It's a weird thing. Would you guys agree with that? That we don't want to be sold. We want to buy. We want to purchase. We will purchase as much as we can, but as much as I can afford. But if you try to sell it to me, I get suspicious, and I can see the battleship coming. So the thing I would say is, why are we even doing this? Is the reason, why don't we just keep the old system? And then the client's forced to say, well, don't you want to sell me a new one? I always say, well, I only sell people systems who actually want it or need it. Is somebody in your family who needs it or wants it? Yeah, well, my wife, she's got asthma. Well, tell me more about that. What's going on there? Well, let me tell you. And then the floodgate opens, right? Or my mom's coming to live with us. She's got cancer and she's coming to live with us. Oh my goodness, what's happening there? Yeah, she is really suffering. She has lymphoma. That's so terrible. I can tell you one thing. Your mom is so fortunate to have a son like you, and your wife too. It's so nice to open up the house for your mom. Not a lot of people do that with their parents nowadays. It's so nice to see you do that. It makes me feel good that people like you are still out here. Thanks so much for inviting me to your home. It's so nice. So those things that you do, these magic moments you create, are things that are kind of created by the customer. Like, I'm not making these up. These are things that people say. I just have a good response using that science of communication again. Like, I know if I lift somebody's self-esteem without directly praising them, I can't say you're just a great guy. Like, what I can say about you, Evan, is that the HVAC industry is fortunate to have a guy like you who puts the energy away from your normal business into just interviewing people like me to go out there and help other people, it just makes me feel good. And try not to smile when I'm saying this too, Evan. If you can just try not to smile so much, you know what I'm saying? So, see, it's impossible to not smile when people are making you feel better, right? And there's a science behind making you smile. Like, so people are like, well, these guys they didn't want me in their home. They didn't even have time for me. Well, you got to be the kind of person that people will make that. Your first sale is, am I the kind of person that you'd like to do business with? And then after that, no matter what you put out there, they're going to buy it. Right? That's why some people can have there's people who don't do anything like I do from a science of pricing standpoint, but they still sell 3 million a year or 5 million a year. That's what, like, Jason Walker, he does 4 options. I do 6 options. He still sells a shitload because he's the kind of person who can make you like him. Right. And he's he makes you feel like you're the star. No matter who you are, he meets you and he makes you feel good about yourself, and you feel good to be with him. You feel good to be with him. I hope I can create that same effect, and maybe him and I together make each other feel good. That's why we're still friends, and we're not. Even though he's a competitive business, I don't look at it that way. I don't look at anybody like they're my enemy. I look at it like it's an open hand. I say that if I have sand in the ocean and I put it on my hand and I got a big hump of sand here, but if I try to close it and own it, then I open my hand back up and all I got is like about a size of a quarter of sand. I have nothing left, right? So, if you are the kind of person that, tries to help other people, I really believe that, and I'm proof positive, my career has been lifted by all the people that I've learned from and give them credit and praise, because there's a lot of a lot of equity to giving people praise and making them feel good. Just making them feel like here's what I could say. When you go to the next sales call, praise the effort of your client. Just say, you know what? Before we even get started, I want to say thank you for making the effort to meet with me. Invite me into your home. It's so special that you would even do that. I really appreciate. Don't take that for granted. That's something that everybody should not take for granted, and we should all realize how special it is. Now that things are opening up again, I'm just happy to be out and about. And thank you for inviting me here. A lot of people wouldn't even do that. So thank you so much. So gratitude is something we can all give. That's the science behind gratitude, science behind the word because, praising effort. If you're coaching a little league team, you can't yell at your kids and tell them to do it wrong. You got to say, hey, way to run at the first base, even though you were out. It's way to hustle. That's what we play. You probably played hockey when you're up in Edmonton, right? I played hockey too. I played ice hockey too, and it's like I was a digger, right? I was the kind of guy that I was always moving, and they're like, man, Crisara, nice effort, way to hustle, Crisara, and I'm like, it kept me on the ice. It kept giving me more. The more you hustle, the more minutes they give you, and I loved it. So that's one of the things I loved that. So praise effort, because effort is not. You can look around the universe. Effort is not something that everybody's doing. Actually, matter of fact, most people will just wait for somebody else to do it. And so when you make the effort, that's something you should praise. I think it makes other people feel like this guy gets me in a way. Does it make sense, or Evan?
Oh, 100%. The one thing I will say to that is do it authentically. So what Joe just said, I mean, that works exactly for him, but you need to speak it your truth, because people can smell BS from a mile away. So praise eloquently. There we go.
There it is.
Right.
It's not Creek speaking right there.
Yeah, exactly. but do it from the heart, right? And you've got to speak your truth and whatever it is that's true for you. Because that's brilliant what you just shared.
Effort is something that is always authentic, right?
Absolutely.
It's like, saying like, oh, you got a nice piano, Mrs. Jones. It's like, well, it's like, that's just like not going to cut it, right? Or, oh, you got a beautiful front yard. Well, what are you doing? Judging my material possessions? So judging or praising material possessions is not going to be authentic, because it has many different meanings. Like, hey, beautiful piano. And then she says, yeah, that's my ex-husband, that bastard. He didn't take it with him or whatever. And so you're like, oh shit, you stepped in a poo-poo. But if you praise the effort, a single mom raising their daughter, that's something that is always authentic. It's like, Laura, I just want to say, the fact that you saved this dog and you got the dog at, Angie, the dog at the kennel. She's so lucky to have somebody who made the effort to go there and save her. I mean, not many people would take that time and rescue a dog like that. And your daughter, Amy, the fact that I saw you working with her on your homework, it's so nice that you make the effort as a mom. And people are like, man, I'm finally glad somebody sees it. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
The
It's like
thankless job.
nobody ever gets angry about praising effort. That's why the effort is the thing you got to praise. You can't don't praise the result. Like,
Yes.
oh, you're doing very well for yourself. Oh, you're casing my house. What's this guy doing? Right. So, praising people directly, you're a great dad, is not good, because
Mhm.
say you're a great dad, that means you were judging me in a way that you could be. The science is like saying directly you're a great dad means that I was one step away from being a bad one. And I don't know what criteria he's using, actually. So how do I know if I'm a good dad or not? How does he know? That can't be true. He wouldn't know. He has never seen me parent my children. So he's just saying that to make it nice. So that's the thing. That's the effect you're going to give off when you praise things that you don't know about. But when you see things that you do see in front of you that are apparent, like effort is something you can always see the results of effort. And you use that today. That's a tip I'm telling you right now. If you use that, you're going to feel better about the praise you put out there, and you're going to feel the customer's going to feel good too. Like, oh, it's nice that somebody appreciates the fact that I invited them here. Most people, the other guys, didn't say anything like that at all, and so that little magic moment kind of works out great.
100%. Well, and to all the owners that are listening right now, Jason, Julian, this wasn't for you at all, by the way. It was just for the sales techs and the comfort advisors that are customer facing. It has nothing to do with running a team. So,
If you don't want to praise the effort of your team, right? No,
yeah,
I mean,
no.
that's not going to do anything. No, the same thing holds true, right? I appreciate the effort you're making, and
Yeah,
that's all anybody wants to hear. Like, you busting
yeah.
your ass out there in the attic and in the basement in a crawl space somewhere, and it's like, can I say something? I want to say I appreciate the effort. I mean, those words like a warm shoulder rub on
Mhm.
everybody. It's like, it's like, you just imagine, like, you worked your ass off and half your body sweated out, and you replaced it with water, 3 jugs of water, whatever, and you cycle through sweat, and your boss says, "Hey, can I just say something before you go?" What? Thanks for the effort you're making today. I really appreciate. I know what you did to come in early and then stay late today. I really appreciate that. And I know it's a small thing, but sometimes we forget it because we're so damn busy doing our things. That's really the truth.
100%. No, I've always loved the saying, people will forget what you say, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And
That's it.
um, when I worked at an old sales organization, it's funny, I just got this comment here from one of my friends and colleagues. Oops, there we go. Just quoting you there and sharing some of the lessons that you've shared.
Boom.
And I'm pretty sure Jason's just straight up taking notes here so that he can come back to this afterwards, saying, thanks, Joe. Instant benefit generator because it's
Yep.
great. And then he threw this one in here. So that was good too. Right.
Oh my God. Well, he's not wrong. I mean,
No, no, definitely not.
you're missing your Thaddy. You know what I'm saying? Or it's like
Yes, definitely.
you're missing your bra. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Well, and it's funny at that sales organization I used to work at, every time we got together for an event, a conference, anything like that, and I was an assistant manager, I was running my own team and brought them to the training, the conference, I'd always get a torn off piece of paper with a note on it, thanking me for my efforts. That was
Nice.
always what was written on there. And it was the smallest thing. It was on a piece of paper that was ripped out of a book.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't on a pretty card. Like the effort that went into just writing that note when nobody
Mm-hmm.
writes notes anymore
Right.
goes a long way. Right.
Yeah, I was at Sky Services, and Ashley. I'll make a special shout out to Sky Services. That's my main man up there in Portland. Travis Smith and the team up
Travis.
there.
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
great. If you want a good interview, that's the guy. He's a truth. That's a truth teller right there, right? And Ashley Matthews. Now that is a customer service rep. I came there. I should go get it. I should go get it. I have it. I still carry it with me. It's a card she got me with a handwritten note where both sides of the inside of the card were written, all the things that she got from the training and things like that. I'm like, man, I'm gonna keep that with me in my briefcase. So when I go in my computer case, so if I go on the road and I feel like this sucks to travel like this, I'm gonna read that and just feel better about myself. And I get that magic moment from her, and the fact that she so many great people out there that just make my success possible, and she's definitely one of them. And there's so many other ones too, though I can't even count them all. But definitely I do remember those things. Like, how does somebody make you feel? That's exactly it. It's like it never goes away. It makes it feel like no matter what, they're still friends, even if they don't do business with me. Doing business with me is not a prerequisite for me to be my friend. It doesn't make a difference. Even if some people have been my friend and they were my client and they started their own sales training business, and I still wish them well. I said, yeah, like I'm having an event coming up this year in September. Another person had an event coming up in October, and I probably shocked them and blew them away when I said, "Hey, your event is badass, dude. I mean, I love your speakers. I think it's awesome. I think can I get any way I can get in on that ticket? I mean, just get a." You get tickets left or anything? So I mean, I was like trying to pimp them for a free ticket, but I was like, no, I have to give them credit. I mean, it's just like I'm in the business of helping service contractors, and if I see other people that can help people, it's not about everything has to come to me. I do agree that all roads do lead eventually to me, but but I always say that there's still room for other people too. There's still room for other people that can help other people, because I'm only one person. I can only do so much, and I'm really happy when I see guys like Jason Walker and Victor Ancour and Ishmael Valdez and all. It's like a who's who of people that are out there. Information that would have cost $50,000, $100,000 right there in your Facebook group for free. But you know what's not free is the effort it takes to implement that stuff. I mean, you can get all the information you want, but if you don't implement it right or don't implement it at all, shame on you. It's not on them. It's on you. Make sense?
100%. Knowledge without implementation is wasted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tommy Mello. Don't forget Tommy Mello. I want to shout out to Tommy Mello too, my boy.
Absolutely. Well, and speaking of that event, I would be remiss if we didn't talk about a few of these things. If you've gotten any value so far from Joe, which I mean, if you haven't, I don't know what you are doing with your time right now. You're clearly just not listening.
There's the maker's mark right there, all the way down.
That's it. But if you've gotten any value here from Joe, go check out this event, because let me tell you, this freaking lineup is badass. True Grit is the name of the event. We got Joe, obviously, is going to be there. Tommy Mello, Dan Antonelli, which from Kick Charge, sorry. We just had him on the show not too long ago, and his brand building, his branding messages are just brilliant. Tommy, of course, home service expert, on his way to running $100 million business. Ishmael, who we had on the show last week, another guy on his way to running $100 million business, and then Jason Walker, plus other guests as well. The lineup is unbelievable. The value that you have created for this, unbelievable for the price. I mean, let me put it this way. You could pay, I believe it's like $1,500, I think it is, for a ticket.
Yeah, it's like $1,397, I think it is, plus $697 for additional add-on people. But we designed it to be it's a break-even event. Actually, we had one like this 2 years ago in Vegas, which we probably lost $20,000 on the event because we had it ridiculous, even lower than this, right? But I wound up making like $5 million off that event because of the connect. Again, going back to that connection with people, right? I would actually pay. That's which is what I did last time. Pay to get that. I mean, I was aglow. I mean, too bad you weren't there, Evan, because I mean, you're invited to this one. Come on to this one. I'll hook you up. Okay, I'll get you a slide a free ticket under the door to you, and you're down there, right? And here's what it is. It's like you can never get that connection with people. I was like walking on air with all the people that we were around that week. And it's like a who's who of all those younger contractors that went from 0 to 7 million in less than 5 years, or 0 to 30 million, I meant, in less than 5 years, some of these guys. And I'm like, I mean, I tried to provide value, but man, I got so much value from that. And the relationships I have with literally everybody that you see on Facebook that I work with, and it just can't be replaced. I mean, I made more money in the last 2 years or 3 years than we did in all the time before that. It was just, it's amazing how much it flywheels and goes viral in a way, right? So that the event we're having is not designed as a profitable event. It is designed to make a break even or just a slight amount of money so I can get a car fare home. It's not, we're not going to, if you know what it costs for a hotel in Vegas, it's not cheap. And so we actually, we held it at a place that would be able to be scalable, and the hotel rooms would be affordable. So we want to get our goal is to get 400 people. We have 400 people figured for this event. Right now we already have 179, and we're not even a month into it. So we definitely feel we're going to hit our goals, and definitely join us, because if you join us, you'll be joining some of the most powerful people. And I tell you what you're going to get is not what's on the stage as much, because you're going to get inspiration there too, and you're going to get information that's going to help you. But the relationship with the person sitting next to you at the table, that's something you're not going to ever get anywhere else. That's what I'm talking. That's the thing that's going to create the highest value. Just being there, and like on Tuesday night when we get there, we're taking over the bar. We bought out the bar at the Golden Nugget. We up on the upper level. We get to look over the street, and we got the whole bar taken over. And then the next day we have a dinner, and so this is all included too. So it's like we're trying to make it to where it's something that everybody can afford to go there. It's a great value, and that the relationship we create. Whenever you think of those relationships, hopefully my face will be in your brain when you get those great relationships. That's really what I'm looking for out of this thing, which is to provide, have us be front and center, just like you are when you're doing this podcast, right? What do you get out of this? Well, your service is something that your face, Evan, is, and Thad's face is something that people want to. That's where I get the good information from. That's where I get those relationships with people I've learned about. So that's what we try to do too. And definitely I invite everybody there, because you'll have to spend time with Uncle Joe and so many other people, so many $5 million, $10 million producers who you'll be able to find out what are they doing compared to other people that maybe your guys are not up to that level yet. But you're not going to learn unless you go somewhere to mix with those people that do it. So hopefully that's what you can do. You can get a weekend, a week, a couple of days where you get some tips that can call small bigs, something small that can create a big result. That's what we try to do.
100%. Well, and when you think of the lessons that you've learned, just you alone in business, let alone every other speaker that's going to be there, let alone every other business owner that's going to be in the room. You took a business that was $250,000 in debt to profitable, right?
Right. We had it was like in 1991. I was thinking I'd be better if the world was here without me. I wasn't involved in the world anymore. And, I was going through a major divorce. My first wife was bipolar, all kinds of stuff. It was just the worst scenario in the world. And then, that's when I had an open, that's what was needed to open my mind to accept people's advice. Cause I was the kind of person who thought I knew everything at the time. And I had to have that much pain to be able to say, I'll listen. And then that's where one of my customers told me about how we do the pricing. He told me there's a whole science behind pricing. He showed it to me and he's like, here's the science of pricing. I'm like, what? I said, nobody's ever going to buy it then. He goes, well, try it. And sure enough, the very first call I did, I sold 10 times more than I did in the old way. So, and it was amazing. So yeah, have an open mind. What really gets me, Evan, is some of these guys who are already doing good, but they're still going to these kind of events. That to me is amazing, because to me, I wouldn't go to anything like this unless I was really needed it, unless I was, I had to be bleeding before I get a tourniquet. But some of these people, they bring the safety kit with them before they get up and start bleeding, so that's really good. And that's what this is about, right?
Totally. Well, and if you're not investing in yourself every year, investing in your business every year through education, through knowledge, through training, investing in your team every year, if you're not growing, you're dying.
I have a team of salespeople from Oklahoma, and they have 4 people on the team. And they said, you know what? Forget the boss. We're going to just do this ourselves. And they're coming to the event. They said, can we just come? Can you do something for me? I'm not even the boss. I'm just a salesperson. And I said, you know what? If you want to do that, I'll give you a special scholarship for the first person, get you down there and get you come here. So what I loved about it is that there are people, because to me, the best investment you can make is in yourself. You're 100%. Always going to make sure you get that return when you put yourself into it. When you read that book, you apply the information. When you go to some kind of best practice group and you learn some kind of a new accounting technique or things like that, you're going to learn that and you're going to put it in place. And those are the things that is the best investment. And, my advice is this, Evan, don't wait for your boss to invest in you. Invest in yourself.
Yes.
You make yourself more valuable, and then your team will be more valuable, and your boss will he'll have to pay you more money when you're bringing in better results. That's just the way it is. If your boss got some kind of crappy compensation system, believe me, if you start selling more, it'll get better because you can't lose a guy who sells 5 million a year. He's going to have to make it better. You follow me on that? So, whatever things aren't, I say there's not very much stuff that can't be solved by you bringing in more revenue. Really, I mean, because everything you do when you bring in revenue, everybody finds a way to keep that train running. They don't want that train to stop ever.
I love it. No, that's 100% it. So for those of you that are listening to this, servicesalessummit.com is where you can check out Joe's event and get all the details on that. Register for the event. I would register now because I have a feeling those tickets are going to go pretty fast. Yeah, there's so many lessons that can be taken from that. We had this comment here from Jonathan. I got to show that one.
Biggie small bigs. That's right.
Small bigs. I loved it.
Small bigs, a small thing that makes a big result. That's what successful people do. They do things that look effortless. And when they asked Michael Jordan one time, how can you always hit those shots without even looking? Like you barely even see you can't even see the basket. How can you hit it? He just said, I just got to make sure my forearm is perpendicular to the ground. It's got to be a 90-degree angle. He goes, when I shoot the ball like that, it always just goes right in the basket. He said it's not the effort. It's just doing that the right way. If you turn your elbow this way and you're shooting, the ball's going to go that way. Right. So It's like, I never thought of that. And then sure enough, I had to try it. And I'm like, damn, that actually works. Keep your elbow straight down and got a perpendicular when you shoot. And it's like you push the ball straight up and it just goes right up to that basket. And it's like, that's the consistency you're going to get. So just like that, if you can, don't mistake activity for accomplishment, everybody. I would say this. My dad always told me, he was a plumber. He said that when you're working too hard and you're having too hard of a time to get something done the right way, you're probably using the wrong tool or you're doing it the wrong way. And so that's what I learned in that time when I was $250,000 in debt. I was just doing things the wrong way. And I was trying too hard. I was making more effort back then when I was losing my ass. And then when I started really doing well, it was effortless because now you have the right science of pricing, the science of communication, and I'm working with that science. I'm not working against it. And so my advice is that anytime things like that, you're trying to have a tool that it's too hard to use or keeps slipping or something like that, you probably got the wrong tool, dude. Get yourself the right tool. If you got a hammer with a chisel trying to get a fan motor off of the fan blade, there's the ultimate puller. Okay, don't be using that shit. It's the wrong tool, for God's sake. What are you doing? You got a sawzall on a fan blade? No, you don't use that. So you see some of these young guys like, oh shit, he's got the wrong tool. He's got using a screwdriver to beat the shaft off of the fan blade. That ain't gonna work.
No.
Get yourself the ultimate puller, and that shit works. It's like, I don't know, it'll push it right out of that shaft there. So it's like that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. If you're trying to use a channel axe when you should be using a pipe wrench. If you're trying to use the wrong pricing model when you should have the right one, it's all part of it. And that's what I teach. That's the small bigs. And that's a good comment from the listener there, from the observer who's out
Absolutely.
there. Thank you.
No, the compounding efforts, right? That's and even when you talked about and mentioned, the amount of revenue that you've brought in over the last couple of years is more than you did in the previous however many. That's that compounding efforts, right? You make those small deposits in people that you've been doing, right? And just adding value. And now it's coming back in heaps and heaps and heaps. And certainly that's what we're trying to do with the show, right? And just add more value to people. And if it comes back, cool. If it doesn't, and everyone just high fives us when we show up at your event because they've seen the show, then hey, that works for me. I'm happy with that. So
right. Then you have your own HVAC secrets corner over there.
Exactly.
Right?
That sounds great. Other place to find Joe, make sure you check him out on Facebook too. I just want to make sure we hit all of these and we don't miss them. Facebook.com/Joe Crisara, Crisara for those that are listening. And we'll have all this in the show notes as well. ServiceMVP.com is the website. So make sure you check that out. I did want to touch really quick on the new brand change. Because this is something that I've seen happen quite often. And we did talk to this with Dan as well, talking about rebranding. But now that you're going through this as well, from your perspective, For an HVAC contractor that's thinking about rebranding because they are Bob's Plumbing and HVAC, and now they're looking to transition into something that's more generic, something that's more about the brand, not about Bob. What are some lessons that you've taken from going through this rebrand for yourself?
Well, I think number one, make sure you get a professional, because it's a lot more than just going on Fiverr and making a logo. It's like some people think that's what you do, and I've heard people give that advice, and it's just terrible advice, because
Yes.
branding is something that surrounds the whole picture. It's not just the the brand mark, which is a logo. It's the color palette, the consistency of the fonts and everything. It's all got to be congruent. So it creates trust. And so I can tell you this, when I rebranded myself back when I did make that change and started coming back from that debt, we hired a company called Soapbox Studios, and I'm not sure if they're in business anymore, in Mundelein, Illinois. His name was Kevin, the guy who did it for us. And the logo was just like a world apart from I did my own deal with a little house with I just drew it myself, and it was just terrible, and then I thought it was good though, it looked good on the side of the truck. I thought it was brilliant. And then Kevin made this logo for us, and here's the effect. We put this logo. They researched the colors. It was tan and navy blue, a soothing, calming colors, and the home comfort was the H. We had still had the home, but the H was supporting the roof of the home. And it was just really a beautiful logo. And as soon as we put it out there in our advertisements, literally every ad tripled the response. And just putting them on our trucks, the employees, we had people applying for jobs. So what's the effect of rebranding? Well, it's not just customers buying advertisements. It's workers wanting to work somewhere that's cool like that, right? That's that's the kind of place I could see myself working. That's the kind of shirt I could bring home and be proud of. I wouldn't feel like a doofus in the brand I'm in right now with Acme or whatever, right? So the bottom line is that the branding does everything. It pulls people together, and it makes the selling process way easier. Like that's why Dan Antonelli and my clients, we share a hell of a lot of clients. That's why I invite him to the event, because almost every one of his clients are our client. And if by the way, if you are one of Dan's clients, you're not one of ours, you should be probably, because we play together nicely. We have a good thing where he does his thing and I do my thing. And, he creates that brand and the promise of what the brand will do. And we execute that promise. And that's really it. So, but the sales process, I happen to notice whenever somebody has a Dan Antonelli branded company or the Kick Charge brand, does the work. It's like power steering on me teaching people. It's like the company is enthusiastic, they're open-minded. The other companies are like, you can just see just based on the brand mark that it's probably going to be a tough road to hoe for me. And so if I'm feeling that way, what's your prospective coworker or employee going to feel when they apply for a job? Or because that's really the biggest sale right now, guys. It's not about selling customers. It's about getting people to work at your business. That's the toughest sale of all, is getting people to attract them to your business. And when you say that there's nobody out there, there's nobody out there based on what you're putting out. But if you put something out there that attracts people, that rebrand, and I'm not here to sell, I don't get any money from Dan Antonelli. Oh, I should probably, right? He should hook a brother up for after this one. So, but he does it every time he rebrands. All of a sudden, the same thing happens. Employees start to apply for jobs. Then I can be put in place because now I got people to train. Now that people are applying and they're working there, I got people to train, and that's his service makes my service possible. Because if you don't rebrand it, then you're not going to get people who want to work there. They don't even want to apply, right? And so that's really the biggest sale right now in HVAC, is selling somebody to work at your company. And if they're not applying, look in the mirror and say, my brand is not attracting it. And it's all they're going to tell you right there. Make sense?
Absolutely. Well, and that's just it. There's not, at least not in the summertime, there are no high quality service techs that are sitting at home looking for a job.
No, never.
Right. They're working currently, and they might be looking at other places, but I mean, where are they going to go first? They're going to go looking for culture. And I mean, those brands that Dan creates, it emphasizes the culture that they create. I did want to touch on the recruiting side and the training side really quick, because I know your time is really valuable, and I appreciate all the time that you've given us so far. So I had two last questions here for you. Sure. And this one's just around the training. what are your thoughts around training new people that are green to HVAC, green to plumbing, versus trying to find a qualified technician and bringing them in? Because that seems to be growingly and increasingly more and more difficult for a lot of guys, and there's an employment shortage for a lot of them. So, thoughts on developing a proper training or bringing in someone to properly train green service techs?
Well, that's a good point. And, back in 1991, when I was in debt and things like that, obviously I lost almost all the employees. I only had one guy who was just too stupid to quit. He should have, he should have quit. I couldn't pay him for I was 2 weeks behind on payroll. I couldn't even, but he still came in every day. I'm like, man, that's so nice. So the same as Glenn, right? I mean, Glenn, that's so nice you come in, but he did get paid off in the long run. I made it up to him, and he became our manager and things like that. But
Right.
it's like this. We decided at the time that once we learned what we wanted to do and we had a clear path on what we tried to do, we want to make sure that we had people who had an open mind to do it. And we created a university, and I worked at the College of Lake County, Illinois, in Northern Illinois. And the only reason I did it was to find the best students and recruit them and do internships at my place, and then onboard them to my company. At the end of 2001, when we sold the business, we had done 24% net profit after taxes for 4 years straight going into that final year we sold the business. And 43 people work for us, and only 2 of them work somewhere else. So I am a big believer in, because even if you get an experienced employee somewhere else, there's going to be a retraining. The problem is it's harder to retrain somebody who's already been trained a certain way. And now you got to untrain it because if you don't do that, then your company becomes like the other company that they worked at. And why did they leave that company? Because it sucks.
Mhm.
And so now your company's going to suck because they're bringing that over to your company. So don't fool yourself into thinking that you can take some guy who's experienced and stick him in a truck and you're going to be good. That's going to be the biggest mistake you ever made in your life. And you probably know. So I would rather take somebody who would walk through a brick wall for me. Some guy who I say, I'm not sure if I'm hiring yet. And he's like, well, you understand, if you hire me, I want somebody who's, the music to my ears, somebody who says, listen, I want this job. I'm like, you do? Fuck. Let's like it's hard to say no to somebody like that, right? It's like,
Right.
if somebody just says they want the job, it's like, you really want the job? Yeah, I'll do anything, Joe. I mean, all right, let's try it. I'm willing to invest in that, throw some money at that, and see what happens. And I've always been rewarded every time I have that. When people want the job and they have a passion to want to work for you, and you're willing to teach them, it's effortless. What's an effort, and what people get a bad name on, is trying to train people who don't want to be trained, right? Who think they know it all already, and they're resisting your message. That's what's hard. I mean, so getting an experienced guy is way harder to teach him to unlearn what he knows. Hey, you need to throw away all the garbage you knew. No, it's not beer can cold on the resuction line. No, that's not how we do it. We do more than that. We have these whole meter set, and it's got digital meters, and it goes into our iPad, and it's like, what? I don't believe in that crap. And now you got to teach them how that's not crap. That's real. That's what we're going to do, right? And so, building performance, we do everything here. We don't just do heating and cooling. So you got to teach people this stuff. And when people have an open mind and a passion to learn, it's like power steering on teaching. When people are resisting the learning experience, like I got to convince them that they should want to learn. That's not how a school operates. A school operates when people want to come to school and learn. And that's where a productive school is in place, right? So you got to be a school of air conditioning and heating. You got to be balance your school too. There's my advice on this though, guys. Let me give you some advice. Like John Wayne Services in San Antonio, Texas, one of my favorite companies that I work, a legacy company of mine. For 14 years, I work with them. They have this university, and they're probably 300 people working there right now. 3 trades: electrical, plumbing, heating and air conditioning, and smart building performance stuff. And here's the thing about it. They make sure that this 50% of the effort is into the technical part of the job, and 50% is into this thing I teach, the people part of the job. Because they realized a long time ago that HVAC equipment and plumbing systems, electrical systems are worthless if people don't benefit, if you don't know who the people are. So you got to have people skills. And it's not like the word soft skills always irritates the hell out of me. I feel like just punching somebody in the nose when I hear that one, because it's not soft. I mean, if it's so soft, why the fuck is it so hard? You know what I'm saying? So why are we, get your shit together. It's not soft at all. It's hard. The hardest thing you're going to learn is how to deal with people. And so that's a skill. So when you open up your school, like Tommy Mello does that Day One Garage, he has 50% of the day working with garage. These guys are going to work on garage doors for 2 months straight or a month straight. And they're going to be also communicating for half the day too, and learning that too. He's got a balanced university, which doesn't just teach people how to fix a garage door, but it teaches people how to talk to the people who need to buy one. Does that make sense, sir?
Yep.
So if you do your community, so if you do your school to develop people, that's our job, our superpower. You put them in our system. We orient and onboard people to that communication system. In 3 weeks, you got a finished communication product. That's what we bring. And so that person will be a $12,000 to $15,000 performer in service, and a $60,000 performer when it comes to sales, because it's a finished product when it comes to that part. They just need to know the technical skills as well. But I would say you can take somebody who's did electrical work or a handyman. Probably within 60 days, he could be doing maintenance calls, bringing in 10, 15,000 a week, something like that. If you did it, that's what I'm looking at. Yeah, some people make it too long. Like Tommy Mello is not 30 days. You're in the truck. That's it. If you can't cut it, if you can't pass the graduation. One thing I will also say, training without graduation is worthless. People teach people, but they don't test them and to make sure they got it. That's a big thing there too. So that's my thing on schools and my mini course.
That was cool.
That's training people, makes sense. So,
oh man, I love that. I wrote a couple things down. Inspect what you expect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right.
That's where that graduation is, right? You expect people to graduate. You learn the stuff in the communication stuff. If you taught somebody how to communicate with customers and learn about the customer, you taught them how to make premium, mid-range economy options. You taught them to bring it to a conclusion: yes, no, or another appointment. So if you give somebody a call and they say they're done, you say, okay, what's the name of the customer? I don't know the name. Well, we dispatch the name to you. You should know it. Oh, okay. Well, what does that tell you when the guy doesn't even know the customer's name, right? Let me see the options before you get your next call. Oh my God, you didn't do the options the right way. Go back and fix it. So companies that are successful, they don't just give people more calls. They make people fix the last one before they give the next one. They will not. They'd rather lose 100 customers before they do the job wrong. Because if they don't do the job right, they will lose 100 customers anyway. Might as well lose 100 people trying to do it right rather than doing it wrong and for sure losing it. It's a sure thing to lose 100 people if you do it wrong. Make sense?
100%. That is a huge nugget, by the way, if you missed it. Do not dispatch the next call until they fix the problem. If it's a messy truck, make them send a photo of the truck. And I've heard you say this. That's why I'm repeating it.
There you go. Somebody's listening to this stuff. It's amazing.
Well, I took notes. It was great. Right? Whatever the issue is, make them send you a photo of it. If it's a messy invoice, make them send the photo of it if you're not digital. Right? If the CSR is complaining, if the installer is complaining because of an issue with the technician up front, get them to send you as the business owner the exact information that you require before they get dispatched to the next call. They're going to do it right. And they're going to build the habit. They're going to build the muscle, right? Before they go on to their next call. So it's brilliant. I love it, Joe. Thank you so much for joining us. One last question I got for you, and this is our favorite question to ask. What is one question you wish people would ask you more, but they don't?
It's a good question. I don't, I didn't think I was going to have any blank moments in my brain, but I might have one right now. I'm just trying to think. Let me just take a little sip on this, make sure.
Absolutely. You can pause on that one for sure.
What question would I wish they'd ask me? Probably I would say, I do see this question come up pretty often. Like sometimes a new guy who's thinking about getting into the business on Facebook says, hey, I'm just thinking about becoming an air conditioning guy or heating guy. What advice would you give me? And then there's a lot of sarcastic, lot of sarcastic comments like, I don't really want to say what they are, but they're terrible. Right?
Coming from guys in the trades? No way.
Yeah,
That
and
doesn't
I'm
sound
like,
like them at all.
I always tell people, I say, the biggest thing I can tell you is, you know, make sure I talk about the effort again. I say, you know what, just let people know that, that you're going to make every effort to make sure that you're doing your job right. That to let everybody know that the answer to that is that if you hire me, you're not gonna lose on me because I'm going to give you 100% effort. If you let everybody know that, if you go back to your actual customer in their house and say, well, just let me tell you today, I'm going to be here to give 100% effort to make sure your family's comfortable today. That's what I'm going to do. We don't know what's going to happen, but we do know you can make that effort. And if you tell people you're going to do that, I always say this, Evan, nobody has the ability to sell anybody, but we create an environment where people sell themselves on what we do. And so everybody's sold on a hardworking man trying to get shit done. And so if you just tell people, I'm going to give you 100% of my effort today to make sure we make your family comfortable, and no matter what, I'm going to stay here. If you if it's about finances, I'm going to help you work through that. I'm going to find a way to make it affordable. I'm going to find a way to get the service that's right for you guys. Make sure you can choose the one that's right for you. I'm going to make that effort. So, the biggest thing I wish, how do I become successful in this business? It's really just communicate to people that you're going to be making effort. Since I said praising effort was the thing to do to make people feel better, I think it also makes people feel better when you tell them you're going to give maximum effort. And I always say, if you're applying for a job of any kind, just tell them the thing that separates me from everybody else is my service. Whether you're an architect or whether you're an engineer, whether you're a HVAC guy or a plumber, when you tell your boss that, listen, the thing that separates me is I just believe in world-class service when it comes to this job. I believe in doing things before you ask me to do it. That's what you're going to get from me. And everybody's like, shit, where do I sign up for that? That's what I've been needing. It's that kind of a person, right? Because that creates value right there. And that's my advice for all the young people is stop looking at the things that are hard to do in this thing and start thinking about the things that are that you can create more value, and you'll get paid more for that. You'll get paid more and the funny thing is that even though you're trying to make more effort, when you're doing service, I always felt that the effort is actually effortless. Because when I'm helping people, I don't get stressed out or anxiety or anything like that. I just feel good about it. Like talking to you, I feel good about helping everybody on this show. I don't feel like stressed out or nervous or anything like that. What's going to come out of my mouth next? Looking bad. I don't give a shit how I look. I don't need to be accepted by you guys. I'm just here because I'm trying to help you. I'm not here for me. So if I make it too much about myself, then I'm stressed and I have anxiety and things like that. But I haven't had that for quite a few years, so I'm not worried about it too much. Make sense?
100%. And I love this Tony Robbins quote of trade your expectations for appreciation and your whole life will change. Right? When you stop putting everything on you and worrying about your own self and how you look and your appearance, and you just focus on giving, everything changes, and appreciating what comes back to you. Right. And so on that note, I will say, one, thank you so much, Joe, for taking the time out of your day to come on here and chat with a crazy Canadian and have some bourbon and have a great chat. We always start off the show by saying, we're here to have good conversations with good people, and any good conversation worth having is worth having drunk. So I appreciate you stopping by for that.
And I was exactly drunk, but I got a little bit of a buzz right now.
Little buzz. We're gonna have an interesting afternoon.
Mark buzz I got going, so it's not.
There we go. The other thing I will say is that I am extremely grateful for the effort that you put forth 30 odd years ago when you were 250 grand in debt to not give up. Because had you given up at that point, all the lives that you have impacted in the decades since would not have happened. The ripple effect.
Thank you so much. I do think about that quite often, and definitely that's why I hope my legacy is. I hope my legacy is where people got a little bit of information that was that small big again, that they got the small piece of information that changed things around for them. And guys, no matter how bad it seems like it gets, and in everybody's life, it is like that. There's a moment in our life where it's like, man, my life sucks right now. Even if you don't want to admit to the outside world, inside what you're feeling. It's just like, just realize this is a moment that the universe is giving you. The universe is giving you struggles so you get stronger. You don't get stronger when things are easy. You get stronger when you're trying to work through something. And whether it's your marriage, whether it's this job, whether it's some problem on a rooftop unit or something like that you don't know about, you're probably crying in the next to an oil furnace somewhere in Canada. Like, I can't get this stack relay to work. It's like, I know it's a bitch, but that's why they put you there, because you're strong enough to get through it. You're not going to quit, and that's why I always look at it that way, guys. That there was only two things that go with. You've ever heard this one from me? This is one of my famous sayings too. There's only two things that go with the flow: a dead fish and a turd. Right? So don't go with the flow. Go against the flow. That's the thing that's going against the flow and being a disruptor, like you said. You're talking to disruptors. That's the thing that's going to make you successful, is by doing things sometimes against conventional odds that don't work, and to get stronger by doing that. Make sense?
100%. Don't wish it were easier. Wish you were better. Jim Rohn. But thank you so much. Yeah.
How many Joeisms you got in there? You got a bunch of Joeisms in your book.
I got a few more now. Absolutely. I'm going to start dropping those on every show after this. But no, thank you so much for the ripple effect that you have created by that one decision to not give up and not quit when things got hard and shit got tough. You stepped up in a big way then, and you stepped up in a big way now, and you continue to give and add value. And I can't wait to see you at Vegas.
You're gonna come down there? We'll come down. We'll go to a cigar bar and we'll get some bourbon and we'll do some real shit talking. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Joe. And now I will leave it to the new father to wrap us up. So thanks, Joe. I appreciate it. Cheers.
Hey, thanks for watching another episode of HVAC Success Secrets Revealed. Before you go, two quick things. One, join our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/HVAC Revealed. The other thing, if you took one tiny little bit of information out of this that was a golden nugget for you in your business, all we ask is for you to introduce this show to one person on your contacts list. That's it. That's all. One person. So they too can unleash the ultimate HVAC business. Until next time, cheers.